Hey guys, it's Joey Gaming and welcome back to another video here on the Joey Gaming YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be discussing Ukraine and Russia and the situation between them. So without any further ado, let's get right into this video. So Russia and Ukraine are beefing right now, and basically I'll give you guys a quick history lesson on what's going on. So back a long time ago, like 30 years ago, oh yeah, around that time, 30 to 40 years ago, Russia used to be called the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union was a, communist, was a big communist country, very similar to the United States in strength and economic power at the time, and they collapsed, right? The Soviet Union collapsed like 30 years ago. I think it was like 1989 or something. Don't quote me on that. I could have gotten that date wrong, but the Soviet Union fell that day, and what happened is a lot of Soviet states decided that they wanted to become their own country. One of these states was Ukraine. Ukraine decided that they're going to be their own separate country. I don't know why they decided to be a country. I don't know too much of the backstory. I just only know the stuff between, Ukraine and Russia and why they hate each other, sort of. Right, so Russia, so the Soviet Union became Russia, and Ukraine became a thing now, and is, it became its own separate entity. Fast forward to 2014, Russia decided to invade Ukraine, and they took over a they took over a piece of land. I can't name of it right now, but it's where North and South Korea were on. No, that makes no sense. It's on the same land mass that you call. It starts with a P, and it's something that North Korea and South Korea, Palencia or something like that. I don't know. I can't really say what it is. But yeah, they took it over. They took over that piece of land. It's called Crimea, and they did that. There's a war in 2014. They did that, and now there's a stalemate between Russia and Ukraine over this. And there are still small skirmishes that happen to this day, but nothing of a scale of a full-on invasion, sort of, And that's kind of where we are today with Ukraine and Russia, That's where we are today. And fast forward today, Russia is now talking about actually invading, Ukraine, and are currently discussing it. So this year, Russia, well, not this year, but back in 2021, either early 2021 or mid 2021, somewhere around that time, Russia sent in their troops, and they had some talks with the United States and a few other NATO members. And what happened is that, nothing really happened, right? They just talked, and then Russia just packed up their stuff, and then they just went home, But now Russia's back. Like a month or two ago, Russia sent back their forces and actually sent in a lot more troops this time, and are still sending in, like, military equipment, like tanks and other military equipment and vehicles. And now Russia's just out there, now they were just negotiating with the United States and other NATO members, and telling them that the negotiating about actually invading Ukraine, or negotiating on not attacking. But at this moment, Russia has just left the talks and has no point on really negotiating right now. There's just, the talks just didn't go well, unfortunately, and now there are rumors that it might happen, and that Russia may attack Ukraine now. And what makes this whole situation worse is that recently Ukraine has been hacked, and I'm not sure if it's basically confirmed yet or not, but I'm going to go ahead and say it was Russia, because Microsoft recently came out, and some other news sources are saying it's Russia. So I could be completely wrong. Could be completely wrong. But on the looks of things, it looks like Russia sorry guys, I can't speak. But on the looks of things, it looks like Russia did just hack Ukraine, which is very bad, And And apparently Microsoft just also investigated the computers in Ukraine and discovered that there's malware as well attached to Ukrainian servers and to the computers in Ukraine, you know? But, you know, once again, guys, I'm not exactly sure if it's from I'm not sure if it's exactly from Russia, but it absolutely could be from Russia. But for me, I definitely believe it's Russia, but it could be someone else. So you may be asking, Joey, why in the world does Russia want to take over Ukraine? And that's a question I do not exactly know, really. There's actually multiple theories. When the first thing that really comes up to me on why Russia might want to invade Ukraine is because of NATO, really. The thing is that there's a treaty called NATO, or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which a lot of countries have signed. And what this is, it's a organization to form against Russia. Basically, it's like a massive peace treaty, and it's a thing that if Russia attacks one of us, then Russia has attacked all of us, one of that deal. And basically, if one country gets attacked, then all the other countries will go ahead and defend each other. I think that's what it is. That's what NATO is kind of really about. Ukraine isn't really part of that. It wasn't really part of NATO. In fact, Ukraine has actually been declined from NATO, actually, I'm pretty sure. But it looks like stuff is getting better. And Putin, Vladimir Putin, President Putin of Russia, is freaking out right now. Because Ukraine was being a buffer between NATO and Russia. Because it's a really bad thing, according to Russia, or, I don't know, to Russia, it's really bad to have NATO outside of Russia, because you know Russia doesn't want NATO forces or NATO members right outside their country where they can go ahead and invade, you know? So I kind of understand Russia's point of view as well, but I don't know if I would really attack, Ukraine, right? So that's what's been happening. Another theory is that they might just want to take it over because Putin may want to rebuild Russia up to its former glory of the Soviet Union, because he said, Vladimir Putin once said that that the Soviet Union falling was like the biggest or greatest mistake that would have ever happened, or something like that. That's not his exact words, right? I don't have his quote, but all he said is that he was disappointed that the Soviet Union fell, and he wants to build Russia up back similar to the Soviet Union, you know? And part of that plan is to take back Ukraine. But there could also be another part where they could be invading Ukraine, right? And recently there has been talks that there will be another invasion, right? Keep in mind, Russia did just hack Ukraine, or supposedly hacked it. I'm not exactly sure, really. So, yeah. I also forgot to mention this, but according to the United States, Russia is planning a false flag operation, which means that they're going to attack their own forces and then blame it on Ukraine as a pretext to go to war against Ukraine. And it's not just Russia that does it. A lot of other countries, including the United States, also do this, where they would attack their own forces or something similar to that, and then blame it on on their enemy, and then declare war on them, right? And there's rumors that Russia might do that, right? Where they attack their own forces and say, "Oh, guys, Ukraine just attacked our forces. They just bombed our tanks. Send in the boys, send in our army, send in the military. We gotta take Ukraine, you know?" It's just, that's what's apparently happening now. But I'm not exactly sure if that's gonna happen. We could all be panicking, and there could be no war in Ukraine, but we will have to totally see. In my personal opinion, you may be thinking, Joey, is there a good chance that we might actually see a third world war? In my opinion, I really don't know, really. In my opinion, not really, kind of. I know I said I don't know, but in my opinion, I really don't think this will lead up to a third world war, because, if the world can survive the Cold War, then I think the world can survive this, I just don't really think that anything big is going to happen. And if Russia does invade, the worst of it that's going to come to Russia really is sanctions, right? I think countries will come to the aid of Ukraine. Maybe they'll be successful, maybe not. We're not exactly sure. I don't really think that I don't really think that this is going to be a third world war, right? We're not going to see the United States invading Russia, or Russia invading, you know, the United States. We're just not really going to see that, right? This is just going to pass, like, the war, like, there's going to be an invasion, and, you know, 2 years later, it's not really going to be a big deal, right? It's, well, maybe at worst of it, it's going to be like a proxy war. I don't really see this being a third world war, you know? I just don't really see it being a big issue. And let me tell you guys, the United States and Russia do not want to go to war with each other, because war between these countries will not end well, right? Because you know, these are two powerful countries, and there will be a lot of destruction, a lot of death, a lot of stuff will happen, a lot of negative stuff would happen. So a lot of these nations would rather not go to war against each other. So I don't really think that, you know, the situation in Ukraine is actually gonna be World War III, really. But, you know, stuff could quickly change, and maybe we will end up in a third world war. But hey, that's just my opinion. So long story short, Russia might invade Ukraine, and if they do, it's not really going to lead up to a world war. It's all of it to do. It's that, I mean, all it's going to happen is that there's going to be sanctions against Russia, and that's about it, really. So anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Like and subscribe, and see ya. Bye.